Unless you've been living under a rock, recent reports have been saying that Anthony Davis looks like he's on his way out of LA, and it's looking like the Lakers are trying to trade him. And it's kind of crazy how far Anthony Davis has fallen from grace, because 3 years ago, this guy was a legit MVP candidate, bro. He was putting up ridiculous numbers, some along the lines of 27, 12, and 5, with like 2 blocks and a steal per game, shooting insane from the field and from 3, especially at his position. And he was arguably the most skilled player in the league around that time too. Easily the most skilled big man for that era. But it's sad to say, injuries ruined all of that. And ironically enough, when Anthony Davis is healthy, he is a dangerous player, bro. We saw in 2020, even before the bubble, we saw how dangerous him and LeBron were as a duo. And this wasn't even close to the best version of LeBron James that we've seen. It was definitely the best passing version of LeBron. And if you watched AD that season, he was just unguardable. If you remember that Houston Rockets series in the bubble, the Rockets were literally having such a hard time guarding him. And he was doing whatever he really wanted in that series. But as you know, the following 2 seasons, AD would struggle with injuries. And that leads us to where we are right now. And Anthony Davis has actually been playing pretty well when he is on the floor. He's doing his thing defensively. Offensively, his numbers are down, but he still looked pretty good. Now, I will say his shooting fell off a cliff. He went from shooting close to league average from the field and on all jump shots to shooting abysmally. The overall scoring production is down. He went from averaging mostly high 20s to low 20s, and for some stretches he averages less than 20 per game. And his rebounding is also down. He used to be able to average more than 10 plus boards per game. Now they've gone down to like 8 or 9 per game. But AD still has a positive impact on the Lakers defensively, as he's extremely well defensively. He kind of has that defensive anchor reputation where the defense is basically centered around him. And his finishing at the rim has been pretty good as well, as he's really efficient from around the basket. The only real issue is that sometimes he just tends to settle for mid-range jump shots. And I get it. Someone might bump him the wrong way and he might be out for another 3 to 4 weeks. Or he might land the wrong way. He might be out for another week. You never know when injuries want to strike with Anthony Davis. But in terms of Anthony Davis possibly getting traded, his trade value isn't what it used to be. And honestly, I could see teams lowballing the Lakers in negotiations because of his unreliability. But looking at some of these teams, I came down to 3 teams that could really use AD and wouldn't lose too much by trading for him. Okay, the first team is the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, some of y'all might be thinking, the Grizzlies are already a great team. Why would they need Anthony Davis? Well, as I mentioned before, because his trade value is lower than what it used to be, the Grizzlies don't have to give up that much. A lot of people would expect them to give up a guy like Jaren Jackson Jr., but honestly, they don't even have to do that. The Grizzlies are already an amazing defensive team, and AD would just be a ceiling raiser for them. But the problem is they don't have a whole lot of offense outside of Ja and Bane. Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't really provide that much offense, and sometimes he can just be relegated to a spot-up role. And Steven Adams really mostly scores off of pick-and-roll situations and offensive rebounds. So having a guy like AD who can score in the post, score down low, score off of pick-and-rolls, while also being able to shoot the mid-range and the 3, that would open up the Grizzlies' offense a lot more. Obviously, assuming that Anthony Davis gets back to where he was in 2020 when it comes to his jump shot. So yeah, we'll never really know about that. Another reason is the Grizzlies aren't that top-heavy as a team. They don't rely too much on their star players, and even when their stars are out, they can get wins with their bench unit, with the reliable starter-level players that they have on their team, and overall, their good system. Last year, the Grizzlies were like 20-4 without Ja Morant. So if AD ends up missing a whole bunch of time with injury, it wouldn't really affect them that much. Also, not to mention, Anthony Davis and Ja Morant would be an amazing duo to watch. I'm pretty sure any Grizzlies fan would love to see them two play together, as AD and Ja both complement each other well. The next team I got is the Chicago Bulls. And the Bulls would benefit from the AD trade by adding more star power to their already loaded team. AD and Levine would complement each other well, as AD would make them even better defensively. As an interior defender, as a post-up defender, he's way better than Nikola Vucevic. And it would be a great opportunity for AD to get back to that star-level player that he was pre-2021. The only real issue I would see with this trade is the floor spacing. Hopefully, the Lakers wouldn't have to give up too many of their shooters. They will be able to keep guys like Ayo Dosunmu and Alex Caruso. Hell, maybe move a guy like Lonzo Ball or Patrick Williams in order to get it done. Also, not to mention, Chicago was Anthony Davis's hometown, so I wouldn't doubt that he would want to play for the Bulls. Another problem I would see with this trade, though, is reliability, as the Bulls aren't really that great of a team as a whole. Last year, when their team got hit with injuries, and they got hit bad, they were close to the top of the East, and they fell all the way back to the play-in territory. And given Anthony Davis's injury history, as long as they don't rely on him too much, I don't see it as a huge deal, but it could definitely be a problem for them. And the last trade idea I have is Anthony Davis to the Knicks. Now, I know this might seem kind of ridiculous because it's the Knicks, but just hear me out. The problem with the New York Knicks for the past couple of years is they don't have an identity. In 2021, when they went to the playoffs, they were one of the best defensive teams in the league. Tom Thibodeau built a defensive culture in New York, and it led to them having a bunch of success. Similar to how the 2012-2013 New York Knicks team was known for shooting a lot of threes, especially relative to that era where three-pointers were kind of on the come up, but they weren't being shot as much as they were now. And trading for Anthony Davis, in my opinion, will bring back that defensive culture. Him and Mitchell Robinson down low will be next to unstoppable. RJ Barrett's pretty good defensively. Jalen Brunson's passable defensively. They also got guys like Emmanuel Quickley who are pretty good defensively. The only real issue is reliability, because there is potential for AD to be in a New Orleans type situation where he has to carry, and his lack of durability will make them not that great, especially without him. And in order for the Knicks to really benefit a whole lot from this trade, RJ Barrett would have to have a huge jump offensively. And until he starts using his right hand, I don't see that happening. But these three trades are the ones that make the most sense in my mind. I think they benefit the Lakers also because they get assets back for AD. But it's also not like the Lakers are over here getting an insane amount back for AD and the team that's trading for him is getting screwed over. And in terms of a timetable for an Anthony Davis trade, I could see AD playing out the rest of this season, and possibly in the offseason they can make a move happen. But in terms of right now for this foreseeable future, I don't see it happening. But that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button. What do you think about my trade ideas? Let me know what you think about those below. And if you have your own trade proposals, let me know in the comments section. And that's all for this video.